chapter for the MTA as they roll out today the new LIRR service right into Grand Central Terminal.
Yeah, the long-awaited project, plagued by delays, will begin limited service this morning, which is expected to save commuters as much as 40 minutes of travel time, but at what cost? So joining us this morning is Danny Pearlstein from the Riders Alliance to discuss the pros and cons of this service. So good morning, Danny. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, so this project was a long time coming. I think that's an understatement.
Yeah.
I mean, it was initially scheduled to open in 2011, and here we are, 12 years and nearly $13 billion later. So do you think that the cost is worth the convenience for the commuters?
I think the cost going forward is of concern in particular. You know, we are going to be paying 5 cents of every dollar we pay to the MTA to pay the cost of building the tunnel and the station. And going forward, the MTA is on the hook for $300 million a year to operate the service above and beyond what fares and riders bring in. We think there needs to be some equity here. This is a service to exclusive suburbs on Long Island. We need to see more frequent subways and buses. There are 24 times as many people riding subways and buses as riding the Long Island Railroad today.
Okay, so who's paying for it moving forward, right? Are commuters going to be paying this hefty price tag with increases in the near future? We know fare increases are just kind of part of every day and every year life with the MTA, but what do you expect?
Well, if there's a fare increase as planned this year, it will be eaten up entirely by the expense of running the new service to Grand Central.
Wow.
We don't believe there should be a fare increase because we think that will discourage people from using public transit, which is something we don't want to do. But again, we're concerned that there isn't the equity we need to see, and that's why we're asking Governor Hochul to step in and in her budget fund more frequent buses and trains for the more than 5 million people who use them every day, since we're seeing something new and shiny for the less than 200,000 people who use the Long Island Railroad.
So that's interesting because they're anticipating that ridership will increase because of this and go to pre-pandemic levels. But again, you're saying that that's not the case.
Ridership may increase. I think some of that is based on pre-pandemic assessments. I know that the state is also very concerned about the amount of housing production on Long Island. I think if the governor is successful in getting more housing built, that would increase ridership. But we know, for example, that improving subway and bus service to levels approaching every 6 minutes could bring in as many as 15% more riders to the subway. That would dwarf the increase to the Long Island Railroad.
Yeah.
And when we're looking, when we're staring down steep cuts to subway service and steep fare increases, if we don't have a sustainable funding model for the MTA, we want to see targeted investment in better transit than we had before to bring more people into the subway and bus.
Right. Can and I hear what you're saying, but I don't want to say that like those 200,000 people that use it aren't worth it. So is there a way to do both?
Absolutely. We heard from the state controller last week, the state has $7.7 billion more in tax receipts last year than the governor's office predicted. That's tremendous. That means we absolutely can do both. I would argue we can't afford not to make this new investment in subway and bus service.
Got it.
Let's talk about the details of this new station here. So Grand Central Terminal, it's going to be closed overnight. Is that going to change then when the full train schedule goes into effect?
We'd have to ask the MTA about that. I think that they may be still ironing out those details. I know there is 1 or 2 trains at Penn Station through the overnight hours. I don't know if that's going to be the same plan for Grand Central.
So, I guess how will the direct service into Grand Central impact the other LIRR services, right? Is it going to affect it at all? Are we going to see increases there as well?
So ultimately, there's going to be some increase, but not as much, I think, as people had hoped. But it will make some room at Penn Station to bring Metro North trains into Penn, ultimately. And so, for example, the MTA is building its Penn Access project through the East Bronx right now, and those trains will ultimately bring people from Connecticut, Eastern Westchester, and the Bronx into Penn Station, with some of the space freed up by Long Island Railroad trains moving over to Grand Central, which means there will be fewer Long Island Railroad trains at Penn.
Yeah, well, this is still just the soft opening, as they're calling it, and hopefully there aren't going to be any glitches before they go full time. Danny Pearlstein, thanks again, Riders Alliance. We appreciate your time this morning.